All right, let's talk about one of the most stressful parts of, well, having a career, writing a resume. We're going to dive deep into a big question. Should you let an AI write it or stick with a human touch? We've got the data, and we're going to figure out what actually gets you in the door. So, let's get real. You've spent hours, maybe even days, tweaking every single word on your resume until it's perfect. But after all that hard work, how much time do you really have to make an impression on an actual person? Go on, take a guess. 6 seconds. That's it. You get 6 seconds for a recruiter to glance at your resume and decide if you're worth a closer look. If your most impressive accomplishments aren't jumping off the page immediately, you're pretty much toast. Talk about high stakes. But wait, it gets worse. Before you even get your 6 seconds of fame, your resume has to get past our robot, an automated system. And these things, they aren't looking for the best candidates. They're programmed to just weed people out. So what percentage of resumes do you think they just toss in the virtual trash can? Up to 95%. Let that sink in for a second. The huge majority of resumes that get submitted for a job, they get rejected by software before a human being ever even sees them. And that right there is the massive two-part challenge for every single job seeker today. You have to beat the bot, and you have to impress the human. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll meet your resume's two gatekeepers. Then we'll look at some really surprising results from an experiment pitting AI against human resumes. We'll break down why both of these methods usually fail, introduce the winning hybrid approach, and then wrap up with a playbook you can use literally today. First things first. You have to understand that your resume has two completely different audiences, and to get the job, you have to win over both of them. The tricky part, what one loves, the other one often can't even see. So on one hand, you've got the robot screener, the applicant tracking system, or ATS. Just think of it as a bouncer. It's a rejection machine that's just looking for a checklist of keywords and a super simple format it can read without getting confused. But on the other hand, you have the human reviewer. They want a story. They're looking for your impact, for real numbers that prove what you did, and for something that's actually, enjoyable to read. The big problem is that a beautifully written phrase for a human can be totally invisible to the robot. And this is where it gets really interesting. A study by 21K Tools put this whole thing to the test. They took 10 real job postings and made 3 different resumes for each one. One written purely by AI, one by a professional resume writer, and a third using a hybrid method. Then they ran all 30 resumes through the same kind of ATS software companies use. And the results? They were not what you think. Just look at these scores. The resume made by AI got a 67 out of 100 on average. Okay, the one written by a professional human, it actually did worse, with a 64. But then look at the hybrid resume, an 86. It completely blew the other two out of the water. It's not even a competition. But that average score is only half the story. See, for most of these systems, you need a score of 70 just to pass. The AI resume only passed 30% of the time. The human-written one, only 20%. They're both failing most of the time. Meanwhile, the hybrid resume passed every single time. 100%. Oh, and here's a big one. The study also caught the AI just making stuff up, inventing job titles and skills, and it had formatting that the system couldn't even read. Yikes. Okay, so we see the results, but the big question is why? Why are these two very common approaches falling so flat? Well, it turns out they each have their own fatal flaws, and they all lead to the same place, the rejection pile. Let's start with the AI traps. A lot of AI tools create these fancy-looking 2-column resumes. They look great to our eyes, but to an ATS, it's just scrambled garbage. The robot can't read it. Then there's keyword stuffing. The AI gets so focused on keywords that it just repeats them over and over, like using SEO 9 times. Modern systems see that and flag it as spam. And maybe the most dangerous thing is what they call hallucinations, where the AI just confidently invents skills or jobs you never had. That's a quick way to get disqualified. Now, what about the human-written resume? Well, its biggest strength is also its greatest weakness. See, a good writer uses rich, interesting language. They might write managed cloud infrastructure, which sounds great, but the ATS isn't looking for that. It's scanning for one specific keyword, AWS. This is the core problem. The very thing that makes writing compelling to a person is exactly what makes it invisible to a machine. They're just speaking 2 different languages. And this quote from the study just says it all. This is the real tragedy. You can have this beautifully written resume that a hiring manager would absolutely fall in love with, but because it doesn't have the exact right jargon, it scores a 52 with the robot and gets thrown out before that person ever gets a chance to see it. So if the pure AI resume fails and the pure human resume fails, what are we supposed to do? Well, the solution isn't to pick one or the other, it's to combine them. This is the hybrid approach, where you get human authenticity supercharged with AI precision. This table just makes it so clear. The hybrid method starts with a safe, clean format and the real compelling story from a human draft. So, zero risk of the AI making things up. Then, it uses a tool for precision, making sure it has high, targeted keyword coverage without looking spammy. You literally get the best of both worlds, a great story that the robot can actually read and understand.
So, what exactly is this hybrid method? It's really just a simple two-part process. You start with a great resume that you wrote yourself. It's authentic, it's true, it sounds like you. Then you just use an ATS scanning tool to compare your resume to the job description, see which keywords you missed, and then you strategically weave them into the text you already wrote.
And now, this is the most important part. Here's your playbook. A simple 5-step guide you can follow to build a resume that beats the bots and wows the humans every single time. Okay, step 1, write your own resume. Keep it simple, one column, no fancy graphics, and focus on your actual measurable achievements. Step 2, use an ATS scanner. There are plenty out there, just copy-paste your resume and the job description in. Step 3, the tool will spit out a list of important keywords you're missing. Just focus on the top 8 to 12. Now step 4, and this is crucial. Edit, don't add. Don't just tack on a list of keywords at the bottom. Go back into your sentences and naturally weave them in where they fit. And finally, step 5, reread everything to make sure it's all 100% true and still sounds good, then save it as a clean PDF. That's it, you're done. So as we wrap this up, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Take a look at your current resume. Who did you build it for? Was it built for a robot? Was it built for a human? Or is it finally ready to win over both?